twist on something which you might not have heard before, because it's something I thought about when reading the Torah this time around. But it's very interesting. Moses, as you remember, he left Egypt, he went to Midian, and really he was a shepherd, going out in the wilderness seeking probably spirituality, a shepherd for his father-in-law, and that was what he was doing in life, and probably doing good things for himself and his own development, spiritual development, and so on. And and this is what a lot of people do, by the way. They do a lot for their own personal spiritual development, but sometimes forget about the Jewish people. And then he goes out with his sheep, and the story says that there's one sheep who goes astray, and he runs after that sheep. And the story then is in the Midrash that the sheep is weak and tired and very thirsty. It's in the wilderness. So he takes up the sheep on his shoulders and brings it to the water and then brings it back to the flock. And I always asked myself, and I didn't find any of the commentaries who asked that question. It's very good and nice, and that's exactly the point when the burning bush is, I understand that you're finished already with burning bushes now, you've gone over to a new era in American policies, but that was a good one. I took it on the spur of the moment. That's a good one. In any case, that was the time when God said to Moses that he has a mission to do for the Jewish people. And I asked myself, it's very nice that Moses left for this one sheep and so on, but who took care of all the rest of the sheep when he was away for taking care of this one sheep? It doesn't say anything about that anybody was with him who could take care of the rest of the flock. And my answer to that is really in many ways the answer of diversity. Moshe understood that if you want to be a leader, you have to understand also the ones who don't go with the rest of the flock, the ones who go apart, the ones with special needs, the ones who have maybe difficulties. And if you go out and you look at the ones who have difficulties and you understand why those difficulties are, then you also understand how to lead the whole flock. And that's the point when God understood that Moses would be the right person to lead the Jewish people, which is a really, really difficult task. I don't know if there is any more difficult task in the world than that. It's a difficult task, and also Moses had his problems around the way and felt very lonely. It says that he complained that the Jewish people, he says a very interesting thing. He says, the Jewish, he said, how can I go to Pharaoh, what's called in English? Pharaoh. How can I go to Pharaoh and ask him to do for the Jewish people when the Jews are not listening to me? And it's an interesting argument which can be answered, because the Jews were not listening to him, as it says in the Torah, because they were slaves. They were working so hard and they were short-breathed, and they didn't have patience to come and listen to all kinds of people with all kinds of ideas how to save them and so on. They didn't have... So the question, it doesn't exist. The Jews didn't listen to him because of that. That doesn't mean that Pharaoh wouldn't listen to him. I thought about it, and I think the answer is, it's true that there was a reason why the Jews didn't listen to him. But if you want to go to the world leaders and present yourself to the world leaders as a representative of the Jewish people, you have to have the Jewish people with you. Otherwise it doesn't work. If they don't know that there is a united Jewish people behind you, then you cannot represent. Moses understood that. You cannot then represent yourself towards the world leaders and to lead. And this is part of the dilemma we're in, the whole of the Jewish people, the leadership of the Jewish people, and here in the States of Israel now. To try to find the leader who is suitable, it's very difficult. there is a big dilemma, and if you ask most of the people in Israel, they will tell you that the three candidates for being prime minister, none of them they would really like to see as their prime minister. But elections is not always choosing what is ideal, it's choosing between what you have in front of you, and I have no doubt that Bibi Netanyahu, who I do not support, will be elected as the